Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Charles. I'm a co-founder at LabV, and I'm happy to have you today. If you're assisting to this webinar in live, welcome. And if you're looking or watching this webinar on demand from our website, also warm welcome. We really appreciate you being curious about LabV and what we do. The purpose of today's presentation is to introduce you to our newest product evolution and present to you LabV's Material Intelligence Platform. The webinar is going to last for approximately 40-45 minutes, and at the end you'll have the opportunity to ask questions, which I can publish and answer live. And as usual, if you want to rewatch the video or basically have a look at more details of what we are presenting today, this is going to be live on available on demand on our website very soon, probably a couple of hours after today's event. What's the agenda for the next 45 minutes? Well, we want to introduce you the features of our Material Intelligence Platform. I would like to demonstrate how the platform works and also help you understand what the value of a material intelligence platform is and how it's generated. Before we start, for those who don't know who LabV is a software company, and we are part of the Net Group. We are based in Germany. And our mission is basically to make all your material data, whether in R&D or quality control, available, usable, and accessible at any time from anywhere. Why are we doing that? Well, yesterday was the era of digitalization. You probably have started to work with tools like Microsoft Excel 15, 20 years ago. Maybe some of you have a lab information management software somewhere implemented. And it was kind of the first era and first wave of digitalization. Today, we are more in the era of using data, which we call digital twin, in a way that you have a database or at least some data you can use. Some of your equipment is connected maybe, and in very rare cases, you also have a generic algorithm you can use. But we're kind of on the verge to actually tomorrow's world, which is the world of material intelligence. And this world is based on the use of AI-based assistant. And we believe that in the next 10 years, every R&D, every quality control department is going to use a material intelligence platform because there is no way around it. And the reason for that is that if you look at a company, so if you look at your organization, whether you're R&D specialist, R&D manager, or you work in process engineering, you work in the lab if you have a standalone lab, or if the laboratory is a standalone department within the organization, or if you work for quality control or quality assurance, the needs you have is, on the one side, more efficiency. You want to save time on these we call it non-value adding activities. It's everything you do that doesn't provide high value. For example, copy pasting, manual data entry, and so on and so forth. Or the automation of recurring tasks is also a very a high concern, right? You create testing plans, you create standard reports, you spend a lot of time creating things over and over again. And I think more and more organizations recognize that for many reasons, for example, difficulty to hire new people or find new employees, there is a need for more efficiency in the everyday workflows. On the other hand, everyone wants to have better products. You want to implement somehow and achieve data-based decision making, having materials that perform materials and products at the end that perform better because your customers are asking for more performance, right? But it's not just the performance, it's also about innovation in general. We need shorter time to market cycles. Why? Because it's a higher competitiveness on the outside market. The whole world is so connected and working against and with each other. on many sides that you need to generate more money, more turnover. There is a need for more sustainability. There is a need for lighter products, and so on and so forth. And finally, as an organization, you probably want to secure your knowledge, right? You need more knowledge and a better knowledge. It's not that you don't know anything as a company, but the knowledge is, as of today, secured in the heads of the experts. And as the experts leave the company, it's getting more and more difficult to keep this knowledge inside the organization, which is the reason why many organizations are looking for modern and new software solution approaches to solve these issues and basically achieve all these four core targets. Now, I said we want to present and introduce our material intelligence platform, but what is that? This is a completely new software category. It's something that goes beyond LIMS and beyond R&D platforms. A material intelligence platform is a software solution that is managing, analyzing, and optimizing material data by combining our artificial intelligence technology, machine learning, but also data integration from many sources to, at the end, with the final goal, increase efficiency and also innovation in material development, but also in the quality control, so in the product production, if you will. So this is for you to have a definition. That's what we're going to talk about today. That's the definition behind our product, basically. And I think the easiest way to introduce you to this new product and our new evolution, instead of just going through features, I thought, well, I'm going to use the three words, material intelligence and platform, and around every term, I'm going to give you examples of what we understand behind material, what do we understand behind intelligence, and how do we implement platform features. So that's going to be basically the structure of the next 35 minutes, maybe. Let's start with material. What do we mean? What is behind material in our understanding? First, we're talking about projects. It's giving you a comprehensive overview of all the projects. You can coordinate everything in one place, depending independently of your department. Everything you do every day is in one place. And the same way we manage the project centrally, we also manage all the resources centrally. So we're talking here about an efficient inventory or even equipment, like testing equipment management. We're also talking about formulations, although I'm going to talk about formulation as a separate item today, because it's something that is so important and one of the core features of our solution that I didn't want to have it basically hidden under a resources umbrella. Formulation, we have a whole central workspace for new or developments or product improvements. It's enabling you to reduce your development cycles and having better products at the end, better outcomes. And finally, of course, beyond the material, there is the whole reporting, because within a few clicks, you can have very valuable insights. You can track the progress and basically have product releases, batch releases in just a few moments after reviewing the samples. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the first one. Project management is something we understand as the one place, like the one core place, central place, where you have the complete visibility into all your projects at any time. It's a unified project repository. It's optimized for both R&D and also quality control. It means you basically can access very quickly and also very easily all the information and data without having to search across multiple systems, right? With the project management features of our platform, you basically end the era of scattered data, because that's going to be a thing of the past. The platform is consolidating all test data in this one central database, from formulation and processing parameters to samples and measurement results. Everything is in one place and linked to each other. By doing so, this feature is helping you to save in time and reduce the risk of losing or even overlooking just critical information, which means your teams, your colleagues can work more efficiently and make maybe, let's say, well-informed or better informed decisions. And in addition to this, we support the day-to-day task with customized templates, because we know humans are used to have their own ways of working, which is the reason why in LabV you can have different templates for projects, for testing plans, for reports, whether it's user-specific or customer-specific. Anything you have today, you can basically keep working with in LabV as well. How does it look like? You're probably interested in seeing the actual implementation of software. So here is an example of the project overview. What do we see here? I was telling you there is a central place where everything is unified in one repository. Well, basically that's it here. You can see you have different status for the projects. It can be a project planned, it could be a project in progress, or even a project that has been completed and closed. You see here what type of project it is. It is just one click or one view, right? It's one overview. You see I have here two R&D projects and two QC projects. Two are planned, one is in progress, one is completed. The one that is completed, of course, is 100%, and the one in progress is 50% completion. And you can even customize the view here. So it gives anyone in any role in the organization the opportunity to have all the information within one interface, and just a couple of clicks away from having the full status and the full overview. Now, if we click on one project and we open one of the development projects, for example, just to give you an idea, when I say it's a unified repository, that's what we mean by that. You have here a reference product or reference formulation, and then you do 3 experiments with 3 different further formulations to just see the difference and the changes in during the different tests, right? So I have different formulations next to each other that I can compare. And then you can see here on the bottom right, I'm talking the process. If I put that up a little bit, scroll up, it's one process step called the mixing with 1 sample and 2 measurements. Adding to this, you can have another process step for the same sample with another measurement. So basically you do exactly the same way you are developing your product and your formulation. You can have a kind of a digital representation of it in LabV, but it's not just that. It's also the possibility for you to see what the person who was working on this experiment said, what the summary is. And you can also at any time here work on your experiment and add a 4th one, for example, or add a new processing step. So it's a very dynamic but also centralized way of working. And it doesn't matter if here in my example it's an R&D project, but a quality project is exactly the same. If you're talking about releasing a certain batch of your product, it's going to be exactly the same, except that the testing plan is probably going to be less dynamic and more standardized. Now, I've been talking about resources as well, and resources is a kind of a difficult word, right? Because a resource could be a human being, it could be time, it could be money. Here we actually focus on inventory, equipment, and the formulations. The formulations I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper right after that. But just to give you an overview, we have real-time tracking of raw materials in the inventory management. We can help you optimize the equipment utilization using our equipment management feature. And as I just mentioned, you can also define your processing steps as a resource. So it means you have a library of different potential processing steps and parameters, and then you build up your library and use that in your, for example, R&D projects in LabV later on, which means whenever you have a new machine that is capable of new things, you can basically have a digital representation of the capabilities of this machine in LabV in a library so that you can use it in your development process. And the same way, if you have a new machine in production, why not having some of the equipment here to keep an overview and keep track? If I zoom in, you can see that we have kind of a similar architecture for the resources than we have for the projects. You can search through it. You have different categories. So you can also have products. We have smaller companies, smaller clients that are, they don't have an ERP, they don't have an MES, they just have, I'm going to say, very simple and basic system landscape, which means they actually need LabV to manage their whole final products. But you can manage your materials, you can manage your processes, you can also manage your samples. So in some environments, it's important to have a sample tracking as well. And as I said, the equipment. And then here you can see, you can search for it, you can create a new resource. Again, a very dynamic library that is connected to everything else in the software. And I think the next one is just repeating what I've been showing before about the processing steps and where you can find them. All right. Now, another resource, which is the formulations. Why I want to talk specifically about it, because that's something that is very important in the R&D space. What we aim at is accelerating formulation development, but not just, it's basically accelerating the early stage of the development process and also the whole process. And that's the second point, because we can detect very early deviations and have a clear overview of the results and the performance of a given formulation. We're so much quicker and we save actually development cycles, which reduces the whole product development cycle. And it helps you to make data-driven decisions. So we want to go away from gut feeling or gut-based decisions and move towards a more data-driven organization. How does it look like? Well, that's the same we've just seen. We can compare experiments. We can create new experiments. You can here within an experiment add an element, for example, a new material, new additive, or a new whatever it is, directly within the project. And that's the interesting thing here. We have conceived a solution that allows users to not only have to go into one menu and one specific feature to do something, but you can actually do the same thing in different features because everything is connected with each other. So you can create a formulation in a project or as a resource, and from the resource create a project. It doesn't matter. For LabV, it's the same. And then we want to give this, basically, it's kind of a standardized flexibility that is given to the users, because every company is different and every person within the organization works differently as well. Another way to look at the resources, by the way, and the formulations, it's here. I can compare a product with different additives. So here I could search for a specific element, and basically I could say I want to test a specific test value, which would be this one, TG mid. And if you put it here in a search bar, the system is going to give you all the resources where he can find this test value. So it's very helpful as well. We have customers in the paint and coatings industry, for example. Many customers say, well, sometimes I have very complex searches, like I want to search for very complex things. I want to have all the formulations for the last 3 years that are capable of this and that with this and this performance value. And that's basically what we see here. In this example, it's under resources, but you could do it as a formulation here under materials, for example. We want to allow you to basically use all the data all the time, kind of a always available on-demand brain that knows what you've been doing in the past, and then you can use it for the future. So that's all about the formulations. I could show you so much more because there is so much more steps in the development process, but I think we're going to cover some of them later with the next chapters. Now, what's the second word in Material Intelligence Platform? Well, it's about intelligence. And when we talk about intelligence, we talk about efficient data analysis and also visual representations. that give you clear results and also targeted and data-driven decisions. Again, I'm repeating this a little bit, but this data-driven and data-based decisions is something very important, and it's a high value for most organizations using LabV. Next to visualizations and analysis, you can compare results and data to each other, and you can basically recognize trends and patterns using this data. LabV is also providing contextual recommendations. That's a new thing. What does it mean? Well, you can save time. I'm sticking to my R&D example because it's the easiest. Imagine you're creating a new formulation. Well, you're going to basically add your elements, your materials to the formulation, and then you're going to add your test parameters, everything you want to measure, right? Well, LabV is going to be aware of what you have done in the past for similar formulations, and it's going to suggest you should do DSC, you should do this, you should do that, or in combination with this raw material or this specific chemical, you usually use this one additive. So that's where we see there is another value using intelligence in becoming kind of the co-pilot and companion of every engineer, whether R&D or quality, because in the quality, it's basically the same approach. And finally, machine learning ready. That's what LabV is. It's a flexible environment. It helps you build your database for future data-driven predictions. And this is going to enhance any type of analysis and everything that is predictive development and predictive quality. So that's what we're working towards. It's not reality yet because there's only one reason for that. You need data first, and that's the most important thing. LabV is a database, so having database and intelligence is basically the best starting point for machine learning work. If we look into it, analyzing visualizations, that's our digital assistant, which we introduced earlier this year. It gives you a very fast result interpretation within seconds instead of long minutes. We have the whole mathematical library in there. You have very clear insights because you can visualize them in a way that was more. It is feasible today without LabV. It's just very complicated and takes a lot of time. And also the possibility to add some company-specific analysis or skills. We have some clients in very specific industries that have developed mathematical functions to analyze some results. If it's a Python code, if it's a Java or a VBA script, we could use it and integrate that as a skill into our digital assistant. How does it look like? Here, two examples just to give you an idea. If you haven't been introduced to our digital assistant, feel free to have a look at past webinars or check our website. We have a little bit more there. But basically, the assistant is a very intelligent chatbot that has access to your entire database and is capable of everything all the time from day one. And everything, I mean, here, can you do me a correlation analysis and put that in a matrix? Yes, of course. You can see the results, you can see he's giving you the sources, and this small icon here is to explain you the code or how the assistant came to the result. Very important, the traceability, and also for the users to understand how a calculation has been made. Another way to work with it will be a very simple representation, creating a scatter plot with for example, two parameters like density and humidity. And again, here, the sources and the explanation. So that's just two examples. Of course, we could have a much wider demo of our assistant. If you're interested in that, just let me know. Get in touch with me, and we can organize something. The assistant is also capable of comparing data and analyzing trends, but not just that. It's not just the assistant. The assistant is actually everywhere in the software. You can use it in many different places. Here, as an example, you can compare your current results with historical data. You can have trend detection, automated trend detection, for example, quality control charts, or monthly raw material controls, supplier management charts. Whatever you have, you can automate. And this intelligent data analysis, what I mean is probably better with the example. So here's a quality control chart where you can see I want to check the viscosity of one supplier over the course of 9 months, and that's the result. And here you also have kind of an intelligent summary, if you will, which is what we call the intelligent data search or data analysis. It's a combination. It doesn't look like our assistant, although it's actually the same thing, just in a different feature or a different packaging, if you will. Of course, it's much more than that. These recommendations I was talking about earlier, they help you save so much time and increase your productivity every day, because when you do project over and over again, it's very helpful to have a digital assistant telling you last time you used this one, or these are the 5 most used test parameters. It's a really high and quick increase in productivity. You can secure the knowledge using historical data, and you can also use your own data to train AI models in the future. So whoever is interested in that, we are providing basically the foundation for it, and we can help you set up the training and then try to have your own models. I want to show you something, because the second point of securing the knowledge is very important. Here's another function of our digital assistant, which we call internally Ask Your Documents. It's basically a search function that is not searching through the test results. It's searching through historical data, like old data in PDFs. So imagine you take all your PDF documents you have, whether it's a testing report, project report, one measurement report, or a scientific paper about whatever you do, if it's I don't know, alloys or polymers or chemicals. You upload that into LabV, and our assistant is capable of searching through the PDFs and finding information. So here we have an example asking through a couple of papers and results, what are the analytical methods that are best suited to analyzing recycled plastic content from a beverage packaging, right? The first answer is here you can do DSC, TGA, and IR, but it's not just that. So the first part of the answer here is actually coming from different PDF documents, which you can find under sources here with a small icon, but it is combining these information insights or search results with your actual database, which is the reason why the assistant is able to tell you also in this one project specifically, we analyzed results for beverage packaging, which you should have a look at it. And he's also asking, would you like to import the data for the project for further analysis? And that's a game-changing feature, because as of now, all data are lost if you don't have it in a database compatible way, right? So our assistant is providing you with a whole new level of search capability, which mean you can generate more value from your historical database. And finally, you can find even intelligence dashboard. So this is the starting page and the dashboard as an example with different KPIs and different reports you have in it. But you also here have a LabV recommendation for today, whether it's based on one project or on different status, whatever it is. The assistant is going to help you a little bit every day, being your everyday co-pilot and companion through based on all the data we have. Finally, we want to talk about the platform aspect of it. And what's the platform approach? When we talk about platform, we talk about the equipment connection, automatic data import from any testing equipment, whatever the brand is. It's not because we are part of the niche group that we only understand the niche equipment. You save so much time, and it's so much more accurate when you connect your equipment. On the other hand, you need APIs, universal interface to other systems, ERP, CRM, MES, so that we have a seamless connectivity across the entire system landscape in your organization. And the goal is to have like kind of a not just a single source of truth, but also a data consistency all through the different systems. But you can also use external systems. So you could also, for example, use an API to a scientific database like the chemicals database, the CAS one. So a CAS database has an API. If you pay for it, we can connect to it, and then you have access in LabV to this scientific open source database. And we are enabling as a platform as an internal platform, enabling the collaboration and the cooperation between departments and people. Here's a picture you probably have seen before. LabV is connecting equipment and different systems. That's what I said. There is nothing new here. Much more important is the collaboration aspect, because I want to show you something in a product. So first of all, this unified and central data repository I've been talking about for half an hour. This is not just accessible to R&D and quality control. Many customers provide and give access to it to their salesperson, because when the salesperson is on site at a customer and the customer is kind of describing his expectations and requirements, then actually the sales representative could search through the historical database and have a look at potential starting formulations or existing products, so that he has an idea of how to actually answer meet the customer requirements. The communication is much more efficient. No sticky notes anymore on the screen. Nothing. Messages on Microsoft Teams about an Excel file on a local network. We actually want to enable one place where you can have all the related information to one specific formulation, one specific batch, without having to change and switch the channels and the media. And we have seen many customers already saying that this whole communication and collaboration approach is actually a very good one to include the customer, so the end customer, into the process of quality or development. Because we can also give and provide access to results or specific parts of one workflow to external people, and then you can manage the rights and access. And we have seen customers telling us, my customers are just so much happier because they're always informed, they don't have to ask anymore. And we both save time in sending and answering emails about what's the current status on this project, what's the current status on that one. So that's an interesting function as well. And to give you an example, maybe about the internal collaboration, here's a project on the left side, and on the right side you have a sidebar where you can see on this page different comments on this specific project. I'm assuming it's about these 3 results, but we could also have comments about the whole project. So it's a kind of a meta level. Could be about the informations, documentations. Hey, Susanna, I just added the 2 documents you required. And then with an @ sign, exactly the same way you do it in Microsoft Teams, you can tag someone, the person gets, you can see the bell here, gets a notification. You could also get notifications per email, so that you are always informed about the current status and current comments. Interestingly enough, you can also search this comment. They're part of the database, so you can also always retrieve anything that has been said or written about a result, for example. Well, now the question is, how do you evaluate the impact of a material intelligence platform such as LabV's? Well, it's actually very easy. You need to do a couple of things. First, R&D and quality control, write down your processes and the process steps. What is the workflow, the typical workflow? How long does it take for each step? And try to evaluate what the inefficiency is, or like manual working time in each step. How much time do you need when you get a sample from production in your quality lab? How much time do you need copying all the test results from the different test equipments or the different computers into one central Excel file, for example? This is an inefficient part of the process. And by doing so, you're basically providing the foundation for a calculation. First of all, we identify the potential for improvement. We put the investment because, of course, LabV and introducing a new software does cost money. And at the end, you just do a return on invest calculation. And then I can tell you from experience that ROI of LabV is somewhere between 12 and 18 months, depending on the organization. And after that, for contracts that are 3 to 5 years, sometimes longer, you can imagine how much savings are in there for more projects, more samples in the quality lab, and even more projects, more products, more turnover, and more profit. So that's basically it about our material intelligence platform. If you have any questions, feel free. There is a Q&A function here in our webinar. You just write a question, I can publish it, and then I will answer it live. I'm happy to discuss that, anything with you. If it's a question about a feature, a question about our solution very specifically, don't hesitate. Let's share and make everyone benefit from your questions.